Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay, so we're reading from the Lilamrita. What is the chapter's number? I don't know. It's called Beyond the Lower East Side. Chapter 21. In the first canto, or whatever you call it. First part. You speak English? Vous parlez anglais? Français? Anglais? English? Ça va? So, whatever Swamiji said or did, his disciples wanted to hear about it. Gradually, they had increased their faith and devotion to Swamiji, whom they accepted as God's representative, and they took his actions and words to be absolute. After one of the disciples had been alone with him, the others would gather around to find out every detail of what had happened. It's funny, I'm just reading this at home. Isn't it? I'm reading exactly from this part. I didn't know that you were here. Isn't that funny? It was Krishna consciousness. Jadurani was especially guileless. I don't know this word. Guileless? Was especially guileless in relating what Swamiji had said or done. One day, Prabhupada had stepped on a tack. I think tack is like a needle, isn't it? I don't know if anyone knows. Punaise? Ah, it's an insect? Yeah, it's like what you put in a bulletin board, or you use for the deity, maybe sometimes to attach the clothes. It had hurt him, so he had stepped on a tack that Jadurani had dropped on the floor. And although she knew it was a serious offense to her spiritual master, the major importance of the event seemed to be how Prabhupada had displayed his transcendental consciousness. He silently and emotionlessly reached down and pulled the tack from his foot, without so much as a cry. And once, when she was fixing a painting over his head behind the desk, she had accidentally stepped on his sitting mat. "Is that an offense?" she had asked. And Swamiji had replied, "No. For service, you could even stand on my head." Sometimes Brahmananda would say that Swamiji had told him something very intimate about Krishna consciousness in private. But when he would tell what Swamiji had said, someone else would recall that the same thing was in Srimad Bhagavatam. Prabhupada has said that the spiritual master is present in his instructions, and that he had tried to put everything into those 3 volumes of the Bhagavatam, and the devotees were finding this to be true. This is the first canto, right? The first 3 volumes. Yeah. So we can see that the first canto of Bhagavatam, Prabhupada has put really everything, because he didn't know how much time he had. He didn't know if he was going to leave his body. He had already had heart attack on the way on the ship when he was coming. That's why also he wrote the Krishna book, because he didn't know if he would, and he didn't finish the 10th canto. His disciples had to finish it, so Prabhupada was working under emergency circumstances. It was a very special situation when Prabhupada was here. Now the situation is different, in a way. In another way, it's not different. But Prabhupada had to do something which is impossible to do for any ordinary person. That is not an understatement. No normal human being could do what Prabhupada had done. What did Prabhupada do? One thing he did is he converted people like us into devotees, which is already completely a miracle. But then he had to manage a worldwide movement with how many temples? I don't know how many. It ended up with more than 100 centers, farm communities, and I don't know how many disciples, and he interacted with them personally, even by letter. He didn't have email. And at the same time, he was traveling all over the world. He was already an old man, and he had big health problems. One time he was going to travel, I don't know exactly what year. He was in a lift, an elevator, with some disciples. I think it must be in America. And they said, "Oh, Prabhupada, don't travel, stay, don't travel anymore," because they thought he was going to leave his body. Prabhupada, he was pretty cold in that regard. And he was on the way down, and I have to find the reference, I can't remember where it's from. But if it's an elevator, it's probably in America. It's probably not in India at that time. So he said to the person, I don't even remember who it was. Maybe there's no elevator here. It's not very scholarly. But then he said, "I want to die." He turned around and looked at him. He said, "I want to die on the battlefield of preaching, just like Arjuna." So that was Prabhupada's mood. He sacrificed everything for us. Everything. And we may not be, we are definitely not on that platform. We may be aspiring for that, but usually we are thinking, okay, I want a little bit for myself, or quite a lot. And then I give a little bit to Krishna. So what Prabhupada gave, he really gave everything. He gave his life blood to Krishna, to us. He came to save us. I read Lilamrita first time when I was, I think, 15 or 16 years old in Denmark. I went to a second-hand clothes shop like Emmaüs or La Croix-Rouge in France. I think it was Croix-Rouge. And they have books, they have furniture and clothing. So I found the Lilamrita there, and I read it the first time. I didn't understand anything about the philosophy. But I understood one thing which was very prominent, which reached my heart, that Prabhupada is a very special person, and he has come to help us. Especially when I was reading about how he, in the beginning, he would personally cook the Sunday feast and serve it, and he would even do the dishes, because none of the spaced out hippies, it never even came to their mind that maybe we should help this old man. That really touched me. Also because Prabhupada was we can say, from an aristocratic background. And he came to a place which is the least aristocratic place maybe in the whole world. The Bowery slums in New York. Now the Bowery is not that bad. I don't know if you have been there recently. Have you ever been to New York, any of you? When did you go? 10 years.
It was that bad. I just really but there were 3,000 alcoholics at this time living in the garden, everywhere in the streets.
Yeah. And Prabhupada, he had to step over them to get to his apartment. And usually if they were conscious, they would move. And Prabhupada would say, "Thank you very much." And maybe lift his dhoti up a little bit. So, yeah, the first time I read the Lilamrita, I didn't understand the philosophy, but I understood something with my heart, and that started something. Then later I took up Krishna consciousness, not immediately. Maybe 4 or 5 years later. First I thought, I have to admit, that first time we have the Danish Lilamrita has a little different picture. It has a picture of Prabhupada sitting and looking a little bit like that, a little bit aristocratic. And I thought, who is this guy? Who does he think he is? I thought he was Sai Baba or someone. I had heard about Sai Baba. So I have to admit that I didn't have pure thoughts about him. I thought, who is this? He looks like a little puffed up. But it was actually me who was puffed up. Because Prabhupada, he was very humble, but at the same time very proud. I think we can say that. He had both these qualities. How was he proud? He was proud of Krishna. He was proud to be Krishna's dog or Krishna's servant. So you can be, it's not that you become humble and then you have low self-esteem or you feel bad or you're depressed all the time. You walk around, oh, I'm not good enough. You can be humble and confident. What is the confidence? What is the confidence when you're a servant of Krishna? You're confident that?
You know what you're doing?
You don't know. You don't know. Krishna knows. You're following Krishna's instructions. We don't really know what we are doing. We are just trying to follow what Krishna is saying we should do. And we are confident that Krishna is in control and we are serving that wonderful person. And he is protecting us and he is guiding us. Prabhupada was confident, right? What, you said something?
You know that our master would never let us down.
Yeah. Just like if you have a good boss, the employee, he is confident that I will get work in the future. I will be taken care of. I don't have to worry. The boss has to worry. He has to find work, maintain, give me working clothes, take care. If there are any problems, I don't have to worry. So in that way, Krishna, he is our career manager, you can say. Of course, the career should be to serve Krishna, but he will take care of everything else. So Prabhupada, he was humble, but at the same time very sharp. especially in defending Krishna consciousness against various philosophies, various kinds of people, especially the Mayavad philosophy. He could be very heavy, but sometimes the devotees were wondering. I think they were asking Prabhupada in the beginning, who are those Mayavadis you're talking about? Is that a special sect in India, or any special branch of Hinduism? Or Prabhupada, I don't know if Prabhupada said it, but they realized that it's us. We are the impersonalists, because impersonalism is spread all over the place. Different types of impersonalism in the West and in India may not be the same, but turning away from Krishna means to become an impersonalist, right? And why are we here in the material world? Because we have turned away from Krishna. So we are all impersonalists. That does not mean that we may not have a special philosophy that, yes, I'm a Mayavadi, or I'm this or that, but we don't want to interact personally with Krishna, and maybe we don't want to interact with other people also. One time Ravindra Sarup, that was in Prabhupada's time, he was distributing books on the street. He went into a shop, and at that time they were all wearing dhoti and sari, so it was very clear who he was. So the shopkeeper, he said to him, do you want to hear my philosophy? And he said, my philosophy is people stink. People stink. Les gens, how do you say that? Les gens puent. Really, it means I hate people. People stink. It's a very New Yorker. So some people are like that. Maybe we are not that extreme, but we have so bad experience with personal relationships that we have maybe developed some kind of fear of having relationships with other people, and maybe also it shows itself towards Krishna. Because we have been, all of us, to some extent, we are traumatized. Isn't it? We may not even be aware that we have, the first trauma is that we are being born. That's already huge trauma. But the trauma of being the fear of being a person. Because being a person means you have feelings, you expose yourself to other people, and they may let you down, so there's a risk. So we may think that Krishna will also let me down. We may not say it, or we may not be aware, but we may not have 100% confidence in Krishna because of our bad experience. Then we may say, yes, I love Krishna, but the devotees, I don't know. Or I'm afraid of accepting a spiritual master because there are no real spiritual masters that are qualified. As we may think like that. So many ways we are afraid. So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, don't be afraid. Just surrender to me, and I will take care of everything. Don't worry. And so this is Krishna. Then there are the devotees. So we have to become ideal devotees so that we can show an example that other people can follow, and they can see that, for example, if you have any responsibility with other people. Maybe you have some disciples, maybe you have some people who work for you, or who are somehow under your care. You have children, or you have a spouse. Then you have to be representing Krishna, and you have to act in an ideal way, so that people will get faith that if I surrender to Krishna, not only Krishna, but because we have to follow the hierarchy of surrendering to Krishna's devotee, so that people will have faith that devotees are nice. You can trust devotees. This is very important, because it's very, it can cause a lot of damage if someone who is supposed to represent Krishna doesn't follow. We have seen, right, in our movement, that it causes so much trauma, and so much faith is destroyed in this way, and it doesn't go away immediately. Even in this lifetime, it may go on for the whole life for some people, because they already have trauma from before they came to this movement. So at least there has to be a group of core devotees in our movement who are ideal. Then everyone may not be ideal, but there has to be someone who shows people that surrendering to Krishna is a good idea. You will be taken care of. You will not become exploited or cheated like we have been before. We should be the well-wisher of everyone without trying to extract something for our own. Of course, when you have people who are working for you, or etc., then you're expecting something. It's not that they can do whatever they want. You need to make sure that people are doing what they're supposed to do without exploiting. So Prabhupada was like that. He was on the top. He was the big guru. They would even rent a limousine sometimes for him, and he would even accept to live in opulent quarters. But we can see that he was also very happy to live in a little bhajan kutir in Mayapur. He actually preferred that than to live in the big building. That bhajan kutir in Mayapur, if you have been in Mayapur, where there's always kirtan. Prabhupada used to live there. So he was detached. He was not the enjoyer of all that he had. It was a whole kingdom that he had. Krishna was the enjoyer, and Prabhupada knew that I am Krishna's servant. So in this way, there was no problem in surrendering to him, because he was not going to exploit. So when the people who are in charge represent God, there is no problem in having a hierarchy, because hierarchy is there. And hierarchy is supposed to be natural. You can have persons who are in charge who take the power. This is called tyranny. And then you can have hierarchy where the people who are you can say natural born leaders, or naturally, they don't even want to be a leader usually, but they are recommended or asked, or people they want to surrender to them. When they are in charge and they represent Krishna, things work very nicely. And then there may be higher and lower on one platform, but on another platform we are all Krishna's servants. So in that sense we are all equal. There are both We are not just equal. And that's the end of the story. There is a hierarchy Krishna has created. So we can say many more things about that. Maybe you have something. I still have your attention, so I stop here. Yeah. Questions, whatever you want.
I have a couple of things down. Okay, you said that in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Prabhupada put everything, if I understood correctly.
Yeah.
But how can he have put everything into the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam if it had already been written? I'm just wondering, what am I misunderstanding now?
I don't understand the question.
The Srimad Bhagavatam has already been written thousands of years ago. And so how could Prabhupada put everything in there, unless you're referring to changing the purports or something, or maybe my misunderstanding of purports?
Well, Prabhupada said that we have just
understand my question?
Not really, but
Really?
Prabhupada said, we have just read, he said, I put everything in the first three cantos, the first three sections of the first canto. So that's what Prabhupada said.
Yeah,
what can I do?
I'm just trying to understand how you could have put everything in there.
But you can read it.
No, does that imply that not everything was in there before then? Or he made some changes? He wouldn't change it, would he?
I think you're on the mental platform.
Maybe you can elaborate for me, make it clear for me.
You read it. Have you read the first canto from?
Such a long time ago.
Read it again, then you will understand. He put everything you need to know about making progress in Krishna consciousness. Everything is also in the Bhagavad Gita. You just read the Bhagavad Gita and everything is there. You will understand everything. Prabhupada said also, you just need to read one book. Make it simple. Bhagavad Gita. We think that it's not enough. We think there must be something more.
I'm not saying that, but the Srimad Bhagavatam and the Bhagavad Gita, they are as they are. So Prabhupada wouldn't change it.
Well, do you know Sanskrit?
No, I don't.
So Prabhupada has kindly translated. And he has commented in such a way that in this day and age, we can understand. And we can understand especially what we have to do. Because 5,000 years ago, people were different. They didn't have smartphones. They were in a very different situation. So the knowledge is eternal, but it has to be given for time, place, and circumstance. And Prabhupada did that. You can translate the Vedic scriptures and you can put your own opinion. You can change the message. You can screw out, as Prabhupada said, one should not screw out some obscure meaning. He presented it as it is, and everyone before Prabhupada, almost everyone, they presented it in a different way. So read it again, and again, and again. And you'll understand. Anything else? Yeah.
So to comment on the history.
Yeah.
Natural leader, you said. So
yeah.
So the first crew for in the temple, first temple, 26 Avenue, temple president was Brahmananda, and the Saskaru was secretary, and Yadamuni was treasurer. So Yadamuni explained that his brother Brahmananda, he was a natural leader. He was since his childhood, he was always a leader at school and wherever. He was playing also rugby.
Yeah.
Rugby was very strong.
A big guy.
Anyway, he was always a leader, and Prabhupada immediately recognized that. Of course, they came from a very high family.
Okay.
he explained, they lived in a house, there were 8 bedrooms, and swimming pool, and servants. And it was big, it was high level social family, not just hippies coming from nowhere. So it was very wow. And then he said, yeah, Prabhupada immediately recognized, oh, he is the leader. And he recognized Saswarupa, is an intellectual secretary. And Nagamuni, Prabhupada, he said, Prabhupada knew that I was always into business. And he treasurer.
Businessman.
And he says, I was always in business. He said, when I was 10 years old, I started a business at school of firecrackers, very powerful ones. And I would set that to my friends at school, and they would put it in mailbox and blow
in the mailbox.
blow the mailbox like that. I was found and guilty. With my father, okay, all right.
Yeah, I was also doing that. Just like people, you can see people very early, what is their nature.
So just to finish, he was very, he said, I never touched drugs or girls. He said, I was 18 years old, I never touched any drug.
Karimuni?
Yeah. So it's interesting to know the person, coming from, and then he was the only one not working outside in the national heat store. So he was staying all day in the room. So they told him, oh, you're the only one staying, then you have to clean the toilets. and wash the dishes. And wash Prabhupada's clothes. I said, I never did anything. We had servants like everything in my life, And then I had to do it. I started, and I wash the toilets and like that. So Brahmananda and Gagamani, not some class people.
A little Gargamani. Yeah, like my little brother when he was 4 years old. Because every Saturday we had candy night in my family. You can get candy once a week. So me and my big brother, we would eat the candy quickly. But my little brother, he would keep it. He would store it. He had a big stock of candy. So he was 4 years old. He opened a shop in his room. And he made it. First we stole it. We came to steal because we knew where the candy was. Then he is very intelligent. He opens a shop. He puts a table so we can't get in. And he puts the candy and he puts prices and we start paying him. Yeah. So now he's into big business. So even at that time he was a businessman. And he's still, the money is not being used. He's storing it. So like that, you can see very early. I used to work in kindergartens where you can see the children, they're 2 years old. You can already see what is their nature. One guy, he had a toy drill, electric drill, perceuse. And he would sleep with that every day. He would not let go of his little drill. He loved his drill so much. And then he started sleeping with his father's real drill. And then he got a toy chainsaw also. And then the father, I was in charge of that kindergarten, so I needed a drill. So the father, he borrowed me his drill. But the time when I had the drill, the kid was devastated. Because he loved that drill. So you can see very early. Yeah.
Yeah, very early. I got a report from my kindergarten when I was 3 years old.
Okay.
Coming back, said very enthusiastic for building little huts.
And now?
3 years old.
But this is very common for boys. I think all boys, they make a hut.
But they don't do it later.
Yeah.
I had a woolen penguin.
Did your teacher say how many you're going to win? Huh? Did your teacher say how many you're going to win? Up to now, that's 3. Let's see.
Yeah. I think a good teacher or a brahmana, because a brahmana is a teacher, actually. A brahmana, he is not only someone who is waving incense and doing yajnas. The real, my understanding of the real quality of a brahmana is that he can teach.
No, it's there in the Bhagavad Gita.
Isn't it?
In
Which verse is that from?
the 17th or 18th chapter. I can find it.
Is it in Bhagavad Gita? Because I've been looking. I asked your Guru Maharaj about this verse, and he couldn't even tell me.
Yeah, it's a famous sloka. 6 things a brahmana possesses. The quality. Yajan Yajan. You should
Yeah.
serve the deity. You should teach others about worship. Bhajan Patan. You should learn Shastra. You should teach Shastra. Dan Pradikya. You should receive charity. You should give donation.
You show me afterwards. I've been looking for this verse. But my point is that a real teacher, his main job is to...
Maybe I'm wrong.
I think it's another book. It's not Bhagavad. I've been looking and looking. But anyway, I think what the teacher is supposed to do is to find out the student's nature and find out what is his quality, and then direct him in that way. Encourage him. This is not the modern way of teaching, that you see the individual and you direct him in that way. Maybe he is not supposed to study. Take him out of this class. Make him a carpenter. You don't see that much. So I think this is very important also in Krishna consciousness, that we are being directed in the right way by the spiritual master, not only spiritual, but also in our material life, we can say daily life. What are we supposed to do? And maybe we should encourage people to, after some time, they move out of the temple and get married and get their own economy. That has also not been encouraged much in the history of ISKCON, especially in the beginning. Everybody shave up, move in the temple, and surrender. And what's going to happen later, we don't know. So maybe we need to have a long-term plan for life.
I found this sloka. Sorry, my mistake. It's not in the Bhagavad Gita. The sloka goes like this. Yajana, Patanam, Dan Pratigna, Satkarma, Nigno, Vipra. The Brahmana is expert in the 6 duties. Where it is found? It is in Manu Samhita 1.88. It is in Hari Bhakti Vilas. Sanatana Goswami, when defining Brahmanical qualification, Smriti text, Gautami, Srila Prabhupada's purpose, you can find it in Srimad Bhagavatam 7.11.14, 15 purpose. Isha Upanishad invocation, you can find it. Bhagavad Gita 4.13, you can find it.
So, but it's originally from Manu Samhita. Okay. Very interesting. Yes?
Nature, early age, Prabhupada, when he was early age, he was predicted, this boy will become leader of temples, things like that.
You mean the astrologers?
Yeah, that was true.
Yes, with Prabhupada. Oh, that's a whole other topic.
Yeah.
That for another time.
It was like together, the teachers, the parents, and the astrologer, they would together. Not only as the astrologer.
Yes, and then if we are in our right place in the hierarchy or in the Krishna system, and we become happy. We may think, I will be happy if I do this or that, if I make a lot of money, or if I become an important person, whatever. But we actually become happy when we're doing what we're supposed to do. For Krishna and for our family or whatever community, we will be situated very firmly in Krishna consciousness if we do what we are supposed to be doing, which usually we don't want to do. If we surrender to our duty, we are born with a certain nature which has certain duties, then we become happy. And being happy is most important, I think. So, if there is no more to be said.
I did have another question.
One more? Okay.
Do you mind? You were speaking about my buddies, and sometimes I've seen devotees scolding someone saying, "You're a Mayavadi," and I don't think it's very nice. How would you respond to something like that?
I don't know the case. You have to see the specific case. I don't know exactly. Maybe someone is a Mayavadi. Maybe not. Maybe the other person is.
Like, for example, if you have guests coming to the temple.
Yeah.
Volunteers or that kind of thing. I
Then
don't think it's very nice. I'm just wondering how you would respond to something like that.
if some of the guests would tell you, or
No, it's a devotee or aspiring devotee something, you're a Mayavadi.
in front of the guests.
Yeah, to the guest.
Oh, to the guest. Okay. But maybe they don't even know what a Mayavadi is. I don't know. Maybe they think it's a compliment. Oh, thank you. You have to see what case. I don't know what happened. Yeah, we have to behave nicely, but if we don't behave nicely, we may get a reaction also from devotees also. We should be nice. Maybe we are impersonalists sometimes. Then we think, oh, okay, then we are going to be personalists. Then we are going to love each other, everyone. That may also be artificial. You understand? we should all be friends. And from now on, we won't have any quarrels. Forget it. Like that. Either this extreme, and then maybe we go in the other extreme. Now we have to care for each other. And then we care so much that it becomes, stop it. So, and maybe some chastisement sometimes. Take it, and maybe you can take it as Krishna's mercy also. Maybe I need a little. Yeah.
Yeah, we may not be philosophical Mayavadis like in the West, but when one put himself in the center, that's my life, then everything and everybody around here are objects of his self-gratification. Is that they are objects. Therefore, it's very impersonal. It may be personal, superficially or temporarily, but actually it's it's an object of pleasure, for my pleasure. Therefore, in this sense, we are very impersonal as long as we don't put Krishna as the center.
We're very personal with ourselves, but not with us. And then for that you can add also that, because everyone is talking about rights nowadays. What is my right? If you analyze that, what does it mean? I have my rights. What does it actually mean? It means that many other people, they have duties towards me. Right? But what about, so this is also again Ravindra who speaks about that. He says, once you speak about rights, it means you are not doing your duty anymore. What does Krishna say? He says you have the right to perform your duty. That is our right. So we can see, like in France and many other Western countries, people stop doing their duty, so they get money from the government. They get their rights, but they may not. Some people, they don't do anything. So it becomes more and more a burden when you stop doing your duty for the whole society. And at one point it just starts collapsing. So I think we should focus on duty rather than rights, which is connected to being impersonal. Because what does duty mean, actually? If you analyze duty down to its root, it means I have a duty towards God, ultimately. And if I have a duty towards God, it's automatically towards all the other living entities. In other words, I'm not the center. Isn't it? I think it's connected. One more from backside.
I was just wanting to comment lean a little further into this idea of what to do when you see someone give kind of an accusation or commentary to someone very rude, in the tone of nihilism or whatever. And I think that ultimately, when you witness something like that, you do have to judge the situation. And for the greater goal, it's best to take the person who has said such a thing aside later. Not publicly in front of these people, but later, and say, hey, when you say this, actually you're committing offenses also. Because ultimately, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is explaining Chaitanya Charita in the very first 60 commentaries. He's explaining, and in the first 5, he's explaining that if we want to consider ourselves Vaishnavas, then we have to consider that humility must be demonstrated before every other practitioner of God consciousness. Meaning, if we see someone and we criticize the nature of their God consciousness, then whether they are Islamic or Jewish or whatever, but we see actually they are practicing some form of God consciousness, and we criticize them, then we have no devotion of our own. We should be inspired by their own devotion and understand our pathway is personalized Krishna consciousness, this arrangement to understand that God has all of his opulence, but he has the sweet form of a small boy. And when we understand we are so privileged to have such a unique and special perspective, but that does not disqualify any other practitioner in their practice, because who is Purush? Because Krishna is enjoying their practices also. So if we understand that the accusation of calling someone a Mayavad is critically detrimental to ourselves, because we don't know what practice they have internally. We don't know, and unless they're asking for our perspective, which usually new people are not asking for our perspective, it's very dangerous, but also important not to say publicly, not to criticize publicly that person who's made this accusation, because then we, as a group and as a movement, are perceived to be quarrelsome amongst ourselves. And this ultimately is very, very important. I might witness someone doing something and think, oh, I don't like what they did. But it's up to me not to correct them in public and to find an opportunity to harmonize with them in a private manner.
Yeah, and maybe we are not in the position to correct. That's a big disturbance also. Some people who don't have the authority, we correct without thinking about, let's leave it to the person who is in charge. It becomes, I have seen many times that you may see some wrong thing, but that does not mean you have to correct. That's another. In India, still the culture is that you don't do this so much in public, like you say. In the West, put it in the newspapers, let everyone knows, isn't it?
We have a Facebook.
Yeah. But still the culture in India, if you're, especially if it's your own authority, someone who is senior to you, even if he makes a mistake, you don't go out and show in public. I guess with juniors as well. It's not something that you handle. People still handle this type of things in a little different way than we do in the West. And you don't just go to the man and say, "Hey, what are you doing?" You do it in a.
Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj had a son who was suffering a lot. Before he left his body, he came back to life, and he said he mocked other religion or something, and then somebody who came back to life and he regretted for what he has done. He was actually born in Sri Sampradaya in his past life, but he was not being nice to, I don't know, Christians or something.
Lalit Prasad was his brother, right?
Yeah.
That's his brother.
Yeah, was Bhaktivinoda Thakur's son. Bhaktisiddhanta's brother.
If this is the same one. I think that's a transcendental argument that they had. I don't think it's material. I don't know. Usually we have material arguments. Yeah, the tendency is to quarrel. That's the reflex. Let's quarrel. You have to work hard not to quarrel in Kali Yuga. The automatic reflex is, okay, you want to fight? Yeah, also in the class. Okay, so we stop now before we start fighting. Hare Krishna. So Manu Samhita.
Yes. Hari Bhakti Vilasa. Yeah.
Can I see?
Yeah.